So my name is Lisa Williams. Thank you. I am a civilian member with the RCMP, so I don't have all the guns and all that fun stuff, which is a good thing. So you're all right. I don't arrest. I deal with you after you get into trouble, because I am the diversion coordinator. So if we have people that get into a little bit of trouble and we go, do they need to go to court really? What can we do? So we have, you might have heard alternative measures, or we call it diversion or extrajudicial sanctions with youth. So I am that person. I do work in all the schools, so my title's Community Program Officer, so I have 22 schools, so it's just me, all through Charlotte County, the islands, Harvey, and Macadam. So I'm a little busy, which is good. Prior to joining the force 15 years ago, I was a teacher, so it's great being in the classroom. And I was also a correction officer. So I've been dealing with the law stuff for a while, so it was neat. I used to teach elementary. I went to work at the jail in Miramichi, and when I went back to school to teach, they said, you're going to middle school, because if you can handle them in jail, you can handle them in the classroom. Which I really liked middle school. Elementary school, you're just wiping their noses all the time, and I don't want to do that. But middle school is where I really concentrate and try to prevent. I am happy to say our youth crime is very low in our county, which is wonderful. Yes, you're going to have one or two that I say make mistakes, which, hey, we're going to. We make mistakes our whole lives. But their brains aren't developed till they're 25, so they're going to make mistakes. So, and I also do the senior talks. And it's nice to be able to come here today, because now we're coming into February. Guess what's going to start happening? The wonderful emails and phone calls from CRA that really is not them. So how many here go on the internet on their computer? Okay, how many about on your cell phones? Okay, so most people, that's good. So, and how many still have landlines at home? Yes, because it's interesting. I just did this talk, where was I? I've been to different places recently. And I was way up in Pomeroy Ridge. Didn't know we had such a thing, but it was the Men's Club of Charlotte County in Pomeroy Ridge. I didn't even know how to get there. But anyway, we had a bunch, and they were like, well, how do we stop this? How do we, and if you have your cell phone, you're going to rarely get those phone calls that you'd get at home. And I said, well, you're going to continue to get them as long as you have a landline. Unfortunately, I still have one. You just never know, right? So we have to learn how to deal with these people. And now that the internet, these emails are going to be coming and coming and coming. And they look real. They really, really do. And I see different ones, and it's like, wow, I would have been tricked by this too. Do we have any teachers in here? Any past teachers? I don't know if you're the same as me, but spelling mistakes drive me crazy. Most people do, but I don't know if it's a teacher thing. One thing I want to get you to look at, if you get an email or something like that, most times it's from a different country, that English isn't their first language. So you're going to see errors. You're going to see, you go, well, that's a weird way to spell that, or that doesn't make sense, because they may have put their language into Google Translate or something like that, so then it looks a little off. So I'm not saying, people that speak English don't make spelling mistakes, because I see some reports sometime and the teacher starts going in me because I can't change the boy's writing. But it's like, oh my word, how did you do English in class? But anyway, that's one of the things to really look for. So we're going to look at how to recognize. I have this here, but I usually don't follow it a whole lot. I just like giving examples and stuff that I hear. Okay, go ahead. Next one. So, male and female, how many get those lovely phone calls and they want to talk to you about the Windows on your Windows, Microsoft, your Windows aren't working real well, you got to fix that. And you can't understand them, unfortunately. And then he says, my name is John. And I get not real happy, because I'm like, your name is not John. Don't even go there. If you can't be truthful about what your name is, what are you calling me about? If you hear that, Microsoft's not going to call you. You will call Microsoft if you know you're having an issue on your computer, or you'll go see your local person to help you. Don't do that, because they're going to try to get you to click something on your computer that will give them access to it, to your information. I had one lady, it was so cute. She said, I didn't even have a computer, and they're bugging me about it, and I'm saying, I don't have a computer. And they wouldn't believe her, and she's like, I don't know what more to tell you, buddy. And then another lady said, she said, I knew it was a fool. She said, oh my goodness, my windows? Well, I'm going to have to call that carpenter because he just fixed my windows. And then they hung up. So that's one that you're going to hear. They call this all the time. Now, the newest, I don't know, anybody have a grandchild call you that they were in? Did anybody have this happen? Oh, really? Ugh. So, and I did this talk on, was it Campobello? And they almost got somebody there because they called, and it was very convincing. And I never understood, like, how would they know? Because my father's named Papa. Well, there's Grampy, there's Papa, there's Pippa, you know, there's different names. So how do they know this? Or how do they know your grandchild's name to say, this is Ethan, this is Lisa, this is... So this couple said they called, and it was like, hi, it's me, it's your favorite, or something like that. And then they said, Evan, yeah, I'm in jail, and I need some money, and I need this much cent, or they're going to do, you know, this or that or whatever. And luckily she called her husband to come home, because she's at home counting out $6,000. And her husband comes in and says, what are you doing? Well, Evan's in jail and he needs money. And I got to send this. And he's like, whoa, not happening. Please stop. They try this. And another one they might say is go buy some gift cards and send them. That's another one that they're doing. If your child is in jail or your grandchild is in jail, ask them, what did you do? And have a nice night. We'll see you when you get out tomorrow. We are not going to be calling. The police don't call and say you need to pay $7,000 to get your child out of jail. We don't. That's American stuff. We don't do that. My suggestion, if this happens, hang up the phone and call that person or call their parents and say, is Lisa okay? I just got a call she was in jail. Because they're getting people. This is one that we had, it came out, and I just wanted to read this to you about what happened. And this is local, well, not St. Andrews. This actually came through another police force. They were contacted regarding a fraud that occurred in the area with a value exceeding $500,000. Wow. This fraud presented as a common scam, commonly referred to as a grandparent scam, which is generally linked to organized crime. So the elderly female victim was contacted by phone by a male upset and crying, claiming to be your grandson, and said that he had been involved in a car accident. The male then passed the phone to someone claiming to be the grandson's lawyer, who told the female that her grandson had been arrested for striking a pregnant female with his car while texting. The lawyer told the victim that her grandson needed $9,500 in bail and would be out and home by the evening if she paid. The woman said that she had the money on hand and was told that she would receive a phone call shortly telling her that someone would come to the house to pick it up. This is scary. The victim got the money from her home safe, and it was picked up later by a dark-skinned black female, 20 to 30 years old, who arrived on foot with no vehicle in sight. No words were exchanged between the two at the lawyer's direction. Later that day, the victim was contacted again by the lawyer, who said that the mother was not doing well and demanded $12,000 for her health care. Again, after an hour or so, the same female came and picked up the money. So they're going to continue. It's like this went on and on. Like it's scary. And I find us Maritimers, we're very, very kind, and we care about our families, and we worry about our families, and that's what these folks are trying to do. They're trying to get you to think, oh my word, something's wrong with so-and-so, something's wrong with so-and-so. The police won't call to say you need to pay this much to get out on bail. Here in New Brunswick, they either have to stay in for a while or they get a piece of paper and say, come back to your court date. We don't get money from you. And that's another thing, when they do this stuff, I don't know if they do their education about where they're calling, because this might work in the States or this might work somewhere else, but that's not how we work in Canada. But they're hoping that they can trick you. And this lady on Campbell, she was convinced. Oh my goodness, because somehow they got the name right of the grandson, and oh my goodness, I got to do this, I got to send it. So this is around right now. So please hang up the phone. If you want to, I've got some these, I have some, I don't know if I have enough, but we can get you some more. In here, there's a whole list of places, but what you can go to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center and report it. We are familiar with that this is going around here. So something like this wouldn't be investigated locally unless you knew, I knew Joe Smith tried to do this, because they're from wherever they are. So it's really hard. So the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center takes all the information, tracks where it is, and they're trying their best to try to catch these people. Unfortunately, there's so many. Now they did have, I don't know if you heard in the news, was it 2 or 3 guys arrested in St. John recently that were going to the houses trying to get money, and they were arrested in St. John and they were trying these frauds. So we do get them local from time to time, but when it's on email or phone, you don't know where they are because they're not here. Now, have you ever gotten a phone call and you looked and it's a local number and then you answer it? Yeah. They can somehow go in and do that, and you think, oh, it's somebody I know because it's 466 or 754 or whatever number, and you go, well, that's a local, okay. As soon as you know it's not who you thought it is, please hang up, because we had a situation that they used this person's phone number. The person called. The victim got very irate at this person for doing this because they were getting back and forth. So after they hung up, he called the number that it came through. And it was a senior that was home, and he just was nasty to her. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. This phone number called my house. Rah, rah, rah. And the poor dear called the police because she was afraid, because this man was terrible. But he thought it was somebody called, not her, but somebody called from her phone. So they're able to get that. So please don't call the number back, get mad at them, because they probably don't know about it. Now, there's several that you'll call. I don't know if you've ever done this. You didn't answer it, but then you think, well, I'm going to call it back. Have you ever done that before? And as soon as you call it back, this number is not in service. How's it not in service? You just called me. That gives you the tip. And there's a weird kind of ringy thingy too. Just so you know, when you hear those, if you wait 3 or 4 rings, it's probably going to stop anyway, because they usually call about 5 people at a time, and the first person to pick it up, unfortunately, is the victim, because that's who they're going to talk to, because they're going to wait for one person to answer it. They love to call early in the morning. I hate the 7 o'clock phone calls, because I'm just getting up and getting my girl up for school, and they're calling. I'm like, what do you want? It's just too early. On a Saturday, it's not very good, because I actually sleep later than 7 on a Saturday. Meal times. They love to call it meal times because you're busy. They know they're going to try to talk to you, oh, she's probably preoccupied, or he's working on something, so maybe they'll just do it. They'll just listen to what I'm saying real quick and say, okay, just a minute, let me get my card. I'm too busy for this. My mother-in-law, she would never get mean with these people. She never would. So whenever they called, oh, just a minute, my potatoes are boiling over. And she'd put her phone down and she'd go do her stuff. And she'd go do her stuff, and then she'd come back and, oh, okay, they're gone. So just hang up the phone. I had another grandparent said, oh, I had my 2-year-old grandson over one day, and I went, here, and he, they don't stay on the long way line because they're not going to get any money out of the 2-year-old, right? So I know as Maritimers, sometimes we don't like to be mean. In this situation, be mean. I always say, you should be ashamed of yourself trying to scam people. Go get a real job. They're not usually very nice. We had one situation in St. George that a lady was called. Oh, this is a good one too. If you don't go and get $2,000 and send it to me through Western Union or whatever, the sergeant's going to come and arrest you because we have a warrant for your arrest. This poor dear was scared to death because most people don't like to hear that the police are coming after them. She went to the bank in St. George, and I'm very thankful because our banks in our Charlotte County, I don't know other places, but I know here, stay up to date with these things. So the lady went in and she went to get her money, and the teller said, I know I shouldn't ask you this, dear, but you don't usually take this much out. Are you going for a trip? Or, you know, like, you got some good news? What's going on? And then she started to cry. And she said, well, if I don't pay this $2,000 to the police, they're going to arrest me. And she said, well, dear, you know what's going to happen? Your money's going to stay here, but you can go over to the police station and let them know what's going on. Well, she came over, and the lady at the front went over and asked her what was going on. And as they were at the front window, this person called back again. So Brenda, that worked at the RCMP, took the phone and said, what do you want? And she said, you're talking to somebody at the police station. And they were cursing and swearing at her, telling her, give this back to Linda. I want to talk to her. And it was like, so they just have they'll be happy and nice and kind to you as long as they keep you talking. But as soon as you start saying no or I'm not interested, some of them will start the cursing and the swearing. Just hang up the phone. You don't deserve to be listening to any of this foolishness. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a warrant for your arrest, we generally don't warn you if we're going to come arrest you. We don't want to let you know we're coming to get you, because then people hide. So right away, if they say, if you don't pay, no, we're not going to ask for money because we're not allowed. If you get a ticket, you don't pay the officer in the police car. You have to go to Service New Brunswick. We don't even take that money at the police station. You have to go to Service New Brunswick to pay that. So yeah, we're not going to warn you. And hopefully none of you in here have warrants. And most people would know if they have one. The only time you might not realize you have a warrant is if you might have a speeding ticket or something and you don't show up for court or you don't pay it, you don't show up, then you do have a warrant. But it'll just be like, can you please go pay your ticket? That's all it is. So just these ones, if they just get one person to send them money, $2,000 in a day is a lot of money, right? So they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep trying. These poor people in Campobello, they got her once. Luckily, she hadn't sent it. Didn't they call the same number again? Luckily, this time she was like, because they will continue to try. Has anybody had any other ones that they want to mention? Now, I'd have to say, I've met a few seniors that have been scammed. Not just senior, but it seems to be that's who they seem to target. And then you're embarrassed to tell anybody. We make mistakes. We do. We need to educate each other. When I did this in St. George not too long ago, and before I started, a lady that I've known for a while come over and she said, yeah, Lisa, I got to tell you something. I said, what's that, dear? And she said, well, I got a call. And it was something about they needed to update my phone. And there was something wrong, so I needed to download this app. So she said, well, okay, I guess it's the phone people. So she downloaded the app, And then they tried to say, well, can you check, we sent you a refund, can you go check your bank account to see if it came in? Because I want to make sure that you got this refund. Well, luckily, she didn't use the app that they had talked her into downloading. She went to another computer, or she went to her bank app on her phone, but not through theirs. So she went in, checked it, and then she came back and said, no, I don't see it there. And they said, well, how did you check it? Well, I went on my bank app and checked it. Oh, no, you need to go through our app and then upload your bank stuff with our app, and then it will be there. Well, thank goodness. That's when she went, okay, this doesn't sound right. And she stopped. So then she went to her phone place and said, can you please, because they were, with this app, they had something already attached on her phone, so they were able to get it off. So she tells me this story before we begin, and I said, well, would you like to share this with the group? Oh, no, I can't do that. She made a mistake. Thankfully, she didn't go through with it, because then what would they have done? They would have had all her banking information. So make sure if somebody calls you about your computer, about your phone, about your bank, hang up and you call them. You have the phone numbers that you need to call. Now, if you get a phone call and they say, this is Bank of Nova Scotia and I need to confirm your card and I need this and that, I want to suggest you change banks if you believe that, because guess what? They gave you that stuff. They should have that information. So your bank is not going to call you to confirm your card that they already gave you. I've had different times it happen, and I just say, thank you for letting me know. I'll go stop by my local branch and make sure everything's okay. Because if something's wrong, you want to talk to your bank anyway to make sure, right? So the bank is not going to, because there was some, I'm with Scotia, they had some emails that came out that looked legit. And luckily, I know the manager in St. George, and I was like, Paula, what's this thing? Guess what's going around? I don't know any other banks anybody else with a different bank that had one go out. I love when sometimes I get a text from the Bank of Montreal, National Bank. I don't have accounts with them. So you could get texts through these places, and they're just hoping eventually they're going to get the right bank that you are with. Your bank's not going to text you. Generally, they don't email you. A lot of times it's in the mail. Or, luckily, locally, my daughter, she's 17, went online, somebody was able to get some of her information. They called us directly at the house. Hey, it's Paula. Guess what? Leah needs to change her PIN code, So locally, most of you have probably been with the same bank for a long time, or you know who works there. They watch this stuff. So just make sure, one of my things, if it doesn't seem right, or your gut goes, I don't know about this, hang up the phone, investigate, check into it, that kind of thing, because they're hoping that they can get you off guard. They'll say, well, let's do this, and you might say, well, I need to talk to my wife about it. Well, what do you need to talk to her for? You can't make your own decisions? And then, of course, the big men are, well, yeah, I don't need her permission. They will try different things. Or maybe I need to talk with my daughter. What, your daughter tells you what you do with your money? Like they can be mean, and it's awful. Because a lot of times they'll start being sweet, and then when they can't get you, they'll turn to the other way to see, how can I make this happen? Now, CRA, it's tax time. Tax time is coming. Last year there was stuff out that looked legit. The CRA logo and all that stuff. Please. Has anybody gotten the text lately that, oh, you have a refund for this much money and you're going to get this? Just click this link and we'll put it into your account. Has anybody gotten that one? Thankfully, I know what I was returned, and it's already there, and they're not going to give me anything for free. So I know. But it's scary because I know people, I work with people that if they saw, oh my goodness, I might get $433 and I don't have any money, I'm going to take a chance. So they're going to get people that think, oh, sweet, I'm going to get more money. But then they go in and they don't have money to begin with, but then these buggers get into their accounts and take whatever. It looks legit if you don't know about it. And there's so many people that, hey, a few extra bucks would be wonderful. So be careful with that. That is not true. A lot of times these links, if you click on them, they will either put a virus on your computer or they get onto it somehow, and then the next time you sign in, those things happen. Anybody here do online? Yes, dear?
Recently, I again had emails where they say a parcel, they were unable to deliver a parcel. What do they have?
That's to get into your account. Canada Post will not send you, and that's the big one right now. My daughter just got caught because she come home and she buys stuff online all the time, and I'm like, oh my word, I know I'm your mother, but listen to some of the stuff I tell you. Because she got this, she couldn't deliver it, you need to pay $2.83. Well, they did. They got into her bank account and took her paycheck. So luckily, I've got her trained that she did call the number on the back of her card and say, yeah, made a mistake. And she's going to get her payback. And we had to go in the other day to get, so yeah, Canada Post is not going to ask for $2.23.
Delivery companies. Like
those I would call.
Well, I didn't have a parcel.
Yeah. So, and that's what they're hoping, that they know right now through COVID, a lot of people did online shopping. So they're just hoping they're going to get somebody that goes, because I've got a couple parcels that still haven't come for Christmas. So I'm like, okay, when's it going to come? So I know there's something. So then you're like, well, who's bringing it? Because today I met FedEx, I was at the office. Like there's 5 or 6 different ones. So you don't know which one your parcel's going to go with. So they're hoping they've found somebody that has a parcel that's supposed to arrive. Most of the times I see it and go, when did you say you didn't get here? I was here all day. That's foolishness. But if they catch a day that I went for groceries or something, you might, oh, okay. If it's legit, I know I live in Beaver Harbor. If they come to our house and we're not there, they take it to the post office. And then you get it there. So yes, any of those, they're just hoping that you will click in it to pay this $2 or $3, but then they have your bank account. So be very, very careful. Yes, dear?
I've been checking email addresses.
Yes.
And if it doesn't look like it's a legit email address, I know it's fake. And that happened with RBC a number of years ago.
Yes.
There was one extra digit in the email address that would be easy to overlook. But when I click on the sender and I check out the email, and then I know it's a fake.
And one way to try to get rid of some of these emails, if you get one and you know that it's not right, go on your email place where it says move to spam, and it'll go, and then it'll show you what the email was, and you'll go, oh yeah, right, like what the 15 letters and 3 or 4 numbers, and you're like, what is that? So I always try to move to spam, the ones I know that are, because then at least, because the other day I had one that I went into and I moved to spam, and then I noticed, I think 2 or 3 other emails all of a sudden disappeared because I blocked this one. So they're sending all these different ones, but these ones I knew right away because it had, the words were all messed up, and you could tell as soon as you looked at it, it wasn't for real. But at least if you do that, you might block out some from coming in more, because it's never ending. You go in, you're like, oh my goodness, how can I get rid of all of these, please? And I mean, if you sign up for one, like a store or whatever, they give it out, so then you're going to get more, and then these folks are able to get a hold of your emails. I mean, if you had, say you got a prize, I love this one. You have won this. You won this. But for $9.95, I'll ship it to you. Well, is it free anymore? No, if I got $10 from all of you, that'd be a great day. So don't think scams have to be $500, $1,000. If they were able to get $5 out of each of you, you know, like, if it's free, send it to me. I'm not going to give, if you're telling me I want it, why should I have to pay the shipping? If you had a contest, you pay the shipping. It's not me. Now, a few years ago, did anybody get one of those calls? Moo, moo, you won the cruise ship? Woo, yeah, I had fun with that one. That was quite a long time ago. I don't know, there hasn't been anything recent, have we? I heard, but it was always funny, and I use this example because sometimes they call, you've won this, like Publishers Clearinghouse. Apparently that's coming back around again, because a gentleman was at the office not too long ago, and he said, I got this. This isn't real, is it? Because he won like $4 million or something, and we were like, no, sorry, buddy. But I had this ship call. And they were like, oh, you won this cruise, and because of our coupon, it's $349. I said, no, I can't do it. What do you mean? You can't afford a cruise for $350? Well, I've got 2 little children, and I'm buying diapers, and no. Well, come on, like, this is ridiculous. I said, guess what? You send me the tickets, and I'll verify that they're legit, and if they are, then I'll send you the money. I didn't get any tickets. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Use the gut feeling, this is free, this is all that. If they're rushing you, or if it's, there's another one they love to say, got this special, it's only going to last for a couple days. Don't tell anybody because it's just going to be for you. Well, if it's so special, why wouldn't they want a whole bunch of people to buy it? That should be one that you go, okay, you don't want everybody to know about it. Something's wrong. This is kind of the spidey senses. Yes, dear?
I had one last week that I hadn't come across before.
Okay.
I was on Microsoft Edge,
Yes.
and all of a sudden my computer just locked up.
Oh, dear.
And then a voice came on and said, do not shut off your computer. Your computer has frozen. Do not shut off your computer. Call Microsoft. And then they
Gave you a number?
come up with Microsoft's number.
Ooh, that's kind of
So we turned off the computer and turned off the Wi-Fi
Yes.
and called a friend who has a computer. He can.
Right.
I didn't know. Maybe I should share this with you. When you have your Wi-Fi off, you can still go into your computer and do a scan with your Norton.
Mm-hmm. Your virus scanning, yeah, virus protection. Yep. And some of these, it's kind of creepy. I don't know how many people have like your webcam on all the time and those kind of things. Sometimes these links just get it so that they can watch you through your webcam. It's kind of creepy.
There was another scam related to that. This is on a government computer too, because I work for the government. And it somehow made it through all their filters. And it said, we have been watching you on your webcam. We know what you do on your computer. So send $5,000 or we're going to distribute these videos to all your email contact list.
Yes.
Which I knew was a scam, and I got those repeatedly.
Yeah, there was one not too long ago that something about that he got an email saying, I know you've been watching porn.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
If you don't send this money, like click this link or we're going to let others people know. Well, unfortunately, this fella must have been watching a little bit because he clicked the link and it completely messed up his computer. A virus went right through it. He couldn't do anything, and here was his business computer. So he was really embarrassed when he had to come into the office to say, yeah, I said something about porn, and I hit this button, and now my computer's messed up. And it did. but then they were going to be able to get his information, and this was his business. So like it had all the accounts and all that stuff. So he was freaking out. So luckily he went to a computer friend and said, please help us get this fixed. So they will try in so many ways, it's unbelievable. It's sad that computers are wonderful things, but it's really sad that this is what folks are doing. They're trying, if they can get just a few people, one person a day.
I'll say visit to renew your license.
Oh, that's fine. That's online? Yes. If you know, like I just did my sticker for my car on Service New Brunswick because I can't be bothered trying to go and sit there and get it done. If you know which one you're going into, that's, you know. I always make sure that it's HTTPS, you know, on the thing, HTTP. If there's an S, it means secure. If it doesn't have the S, it's not. Also, is it that phone? I've got two of them, so I don't know if it's on this one or not. No, I'll just check. I took a picture of our recent stats on how much money is taken through fraud, and it's scary. Let's see. Look, this is my work phone. I've got to do a fingerprint. I've got to do all this foolishness. Here we go. So, it's okay, Kate. As of August 31st, so I think the other numbers I have is a little more recent, but this is as of August 31st, 2022, and this is just in Canada. Reports of fraud, 61,000. Victims of frauds, 38,000. Lost to fraud, $332.7 million. And that's the ones that were actually reported. Because as I said, there's a lot that people go, I'm too embarrassed, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to report this. There's some local scams that have happened in the past. Recently we had a contractor that scammed a bunch of people out of money, so sometimes those can be investigated locally, and they are. But what I'm talking about is the ones that we don't know where they are. And we can get them, but unfortunately there's going to be another one. That's why I'm like, oh, how can you do this? Like I know they don't care, but I always say, you should be ashamed of yourself that you're doing this. And I wish I got that phone call about the sergeant coming to arrest me once, but I wasn't home. And I'm like, oh, please call back when I'm home. Please. Because then I'm going to say, well, who's coming to get me? Scott or Chris? Because I work with them both. And guess what? Sergeants don't arrest anymore. They're at their desk. It's the lowly constables that are going to be arresting people, not the sergeants. Yes, dear.
I'm just wondering, are these scam artists from other countries, or are we having them in our country?
A lot are other countries, and like I said, they just arrested 3 dudes in St. John that were doing a local scam, but they would have been with a bigger group that go to different spots, because I know, I don't know how long ago, there were some in Moncton that were doing something too, and they're with a big group from somewhere else, but they're generally not from here. It seems recently all the ones that I know that have been arrested are non-white people that have come from another country and are going to try these things. I know sometimes they use the religion. We had one recently, the high school, Fundy High, got a hold of me and they're like, this dude just came in the school and wanted to speak about all this freaky deaky stuff. And luckily the secretary was like, no, you can't come in here. And it wasn't because of what he wanted. You just don't walk into a school and say, I want to talk to your kids. Like, I can't go. I've got to talk to somebody if I want to go talk to the kids. So they come in and they tried to get into the office, and I guess they were not very pleasant. But they had these pamphlets, so they looked like they were, I don't know if they made it here to St. Andrews or not, but we got the word out pretty quick to watch these dudes because they might try to get into the schools or into another place. But the internet, it's who knows where they could be. It's unbelievable because, and then they're really hard because if you know, they can go from this router to this router to this one to that one, and or it could be from somewhere else and they've got local people working for them, that kind of thing. But it's in this booklet, like I said, I have it here. There's all kinds. Now, if you go to either the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, or if you can start with rcmp.ca, which is easier than that big long thing. If you go on to the rcmp.ca page, and I'll turn this way because on this side over here, there's going to be a thing that says scams and frauds. If you click that, it will take you automatically to the Anti-Fraud Center. There is an alphabetical list of all the possible scams, and I'm talking from A to Z. There's a whole bunch of them, which is really sad. There's so many, but they are listed there. So if you ever get something and you're not sure, or we have people come in all the time. I know here in St. Andrews, unfortunately, we don't have somebody there all the time, but if you're in St. Stephen or St. George and you're not sure, print it off and come in and say, do you know what about this? What is this? Because it's good.
Forward this through an email. Can we forward this to the rcmp.ca?
Yeah, there's a place to report it in there too. Or the Anti-Fraud Center as well, you can report through them as well. Yes, dear.
I reported the RBC.
Yes.
To RBC, to the bank.
Yes.
And they asked me to send it to their anti-phishing.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, like if you have something, you can call like your bank, your Rogers, your whatever, and they may say, okay, I haven't heard about that one yet. Can you forward that to me? Now, recently also, I was talking to Campobello again over at their office, and just at that same time, the secretary at the town office got this email, and it had RCMP on the top, and it was all official, and it was like, yes, we know that we're here to tell you that you are going to be arrested for all these sexual offenses, like pedophilia and all this stuff. And I mean, she knew she wasn't in, but guess who it was signed by? Brenda Lucky. She's our commissioner. And I'm like, no, I really don't think she's going to be sending that out, but can you please send that to me? So we got it up to our communications people and got it to Ottawa to say, heads up, somebody's got it, because it looked legit. Now, the funny part is, I think she got one in English, but then the next 2 or 3 that I saw was all en français. But now if you go on the site, it's one that's shown there to say this is a fraud. But they don't, I mean, some people would look at it and go, oh my gosh, that's the commissioner of the RCMP. I'm in real trouble, even though I never did any of these things before. And I've seen different things that I know. My grandmother, God rest her soul, if she would have received it, she would have been going and writing her little check and sending it because they look legit. Well, no, you're worried, right? Because they'll say, well, you know, you owe this or you owe that, or if you don't pay this and that, check into it. They're trying to find, I mean, you may know, I don't know that, I know that. But somebody else might go, oh, did I pay that? Oh, maybe I didn't. Because if they can just trick a few people, then, hey, there's money in their pocket. And I mean, one person's probably more than what the poor people make the whole day working at these call centers, right? So it's scary, it's happening. Don't be embarrassed. Talk to your friends about it. If something happens with you or you're not sure, like you shared what happened with you, now we know. If this goes on, turn it off. If we communicate and know that, okay, this is going around in St. Andrews right now, you'll be more, you know, you'll know more about it. You might save one of your friends from making that mistake, because it's a lot of them you got to look at. Because I had that one from Scotiabank, and I knew, but I still called and said, do you know about this? Like, this isn't legit, is it? No, it's not. We're not going to send that out. So just second guess. Another thing you can say, I'm really busy right now. Can you give me a phone number and I'll call you back? they'll either hang up or give you a phone number that's not going to work anyway, right? So if you don't want to be mean, I just hang up or don't answer it or whatever. I do know I went on to the no-call list. I don't know if that works or not. Yeah, 3 months or something, and then you're supposed to go back in to do it again and stuff, so it might save a little bit, I don't know, but maybe just let her ring. If you get an answer machine, let them leave their foolish message, or they usually won't. If it's an answer machine, they'll wait till the next person to answer, that kind of stuff. So I know I didn't use this much. I don't tend to use that. I just made it look nice. I just talk. I've been here long enough that I've done all these different ones, and I'm like, okay, what other ones have I been told about? Has anybody had something that I haven't talked about that you have a question about or you want to share with the group? I know it's, yep.
I had an email which came to the house. Was it an email or a letter? Claiming to need a survey of travel from StatsCan. It's from StatsCan, no S in the
Okay.
I went on the government site and checked the surveys that were being done, and I did find that there was a legitimate survey. But it's not easy.
No. You've got, like you said, you noticed it wasn't StatsCan, so that's what they're hoping, but you saw that.
And it is StatsCan that they use. They don't have the S in the middle. So, you know, that took me aback as well, but there we go.
Yeah, it
and
is
I
odd,
did fill in the survey. There was nothing sensitive, but it was travel. How often do you go to the US? How often?
Yeah, they've had different ones, and sometimes there's the calls too that, do you have a few minutes? No. I don't know what you're calling about, but I don't want to go through this. But yeah, you can go on and check like you did. That's perfect to go on and see, but it is odd that they didn't have the S on it. But if you don't do it, you know, if you're not sure, how many go online a lot, and sometimes they have those things that you say, oh, this is so fun. Can you tell me what's your favorite this and what's your favorite that and what's your maiden name and what's this and what's that? Be very careful about those, because sometimes you put information there that you might use in your passwords, and that's what they're hoping. Passwords, make them as weird as you possibly can. If you ever think there's a possibility that somebody got into your account of some, change it. I know with the RCMP we have to change our password every 6 months. And it's a pain, because I'm like, what can I have now? Because just to get on my computer, I have to sign in 3 times with different ones. And I'm like, oh my word, how do I? It's bad at home. I've got sticky notes all over my office. It's like, don't anybody come in here because you're going to figure something out. But it's too many. But try to not use the same password for everything too, because if they somehow manage to get your password from your Hotmail or from your Facebook and you use it for your bank, they're going to try that. So try at least your banking, have it completely different from anywhere else. If anybody ever calls and they want your credit card, if you don't know who they are and they're asking for those 3 digits on the back, please do not give that to them. Because if they get a hold of that, they can have free for all. Anybody here order stuff online, buy items online? I'll give you a little trick that somebody told me, because I know some people have credit cards that have like $50,000 limit. Holy moly, not me, but anyway. One lady said, I only use a credit card that has like $1,000 limit when I'm online. So if somebody gets it, that's all they're going to get. Or if they traveled and they used one for meals or whatever, they had a small amount on it, because they are so slick. There a while ago in Bangor, if they went to different stores, they had skimming machines and people were losing their cards. Yeah, so one tip, use online a small amount credit card. And I also, if I order stuff now after I got some crap that didn't work out real well, didn't get my stuff, but I go through PayPal. If they have PayPal on it, it's secure. And it also is, if they mess up or you don't get it, you can get your money back. They will give you your money back.
Not always what they have.
No?
We really got much worse.
Really? Because I've had pretty good luck with them. I know they make you go through, you got to try to fight with the people that you ordered it through, because I had a situation, I ordered one thing and what came was not what I had ordered. So I had to go through the other company and fight with them and fight with them and fight with them. And then I went to PayPal, so it's not working. So I sent all my messages with this. I mean, it was only $150, but hey, $150 is $150. You didn't send me what you're supposed to send me, right? So if you can buy local, it's awesome, because then you know it's in your hand, right? And then the shipping costs lately, oh my word. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, another thing you can do to protect yourself is have a credit card that you only use online.
Yes.
Don't use your regular day-to-day credit card online. That's what I do. I have a backup credit card. It's the only one. So if there's something funny on it, I know instantly.
Yeah. And banks are really, like, I went to, this is a long time ago, I haven't gone to the States for a while, but I went to Bangor one time and forgot to tell the bank that I was going, and it was at Christmas, and I bought some stuff, and the next thing you know, I go to the next place and my card won't work. So I call and they say, oh, we didn't know you were there, which is good because they catch it, because I've heard different people say, oh my word, I got a call and somebody's put $1,500 on my card, but luckily the bank saw it, stopped it, didn't, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, like a low limit. It's just, you just never know. It's a shame that we have to be so vigilant and reading and checking. But if you're not sure, get somebody else to read it. Maybe they'll see something that you don't see, or they might, oh yeah, somebody told me about that, or oh no, I called about that, that's okay. Like educating each other, being there for each other is very important, because there's going to be a new one every day. And like I said, if you go to the RCMP.ca and click on this, they have a whole list of what's happening right now, what's the most recent ones. There's a whole lot of information on that page if you're not sure. And, you know, any questions? Yes, dear.
I just want to comment that we have a friend who just wanted to go get something quick, had his credit card in his coat pocket, thinking, you know, it's not in my back pocket or anything, and it got scanned by people walking by that can actually scan what you have on your person and get the information. So it's good to have those safety
there's different
containers in which you're
put it in and they can't get through it. It's awful that we have to do this stuff. It's just, it makes me so upset that we can't go on. Oh, I forgot about the romance scam. Anybody in here looking for a sugar daddy or a sugar mama? Well, they're out there. And another one that we used to have a lot of, I don't hear it as often, but I just won $30 million and you're my long lost cousin. And if you send me this, I'll send you some money. I'm going to tell you, if I won $30,000, one, you'd know who your family was really quick. And I certainly wouldn't be giving it to somebody I didn't really know. But they make it, I saw different paperwork from one of this because one poor person got scammed from it. And I'm thinking, because they put the same name and all this stuff, and it looks like they sent different paperwork to them, and I'm like, wow, this like looks real. Nobody, I don't think, that wins, like, and that one came from Africa or wherever, like, if I won that much money, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be looking for a long-lost cousin. You wouldn't see me for a while. I'd be traveling if I won $30 million. But it's if they can just get one person to believe it. Because the person that I know that saw this was hard on his luck, thought, hey, this saying if I just do this or if I just do this, and they kept. And he was thinking, well, they said, well, just send me $2,000. It's no big deal because I need to do this paperwork for the both of us. And then we'll get going. And finally, when the person decided this is not for real and said to the person, I think this is a phishing scam, and all of a sudden, blip, it's gone, I think he ended up sending him $10,000 because he the papers that came back looked so real. So they were hoping, like he was down on his luck. He somehow managed to, I know he went to one of those places that you get a loan because he thought, oh my goodness, if I do this, I'm going to be set. But that's what they're trying to find, somebody hard on their, or just too trusting.
Geez, I had a problem, well, not a problem, what happened to me was I received I noticed a call, I'm not sure, saying that because I lived in different parts of Canada and to the bank, and that I had left so much money in an account that I didn't close yet, and to, you know, to follow and go through that, and I didn't know.
I would be calling directly to that bank and talk to somebody there because most people don't give it away unless it's.
She said that so many people that have accounts that are not completely closed.
Yes. It's amazing the bank doesn't take it in interest.
Have you had Amazon at all? Scams through using Amazon?
Well, you'll get that thing about you owe this much money or I won't drop it off or I won't deliver it until that, but I haven't heard others. Maybe others have, yeah. What's yours saying?
It's Amazon.ca saying that I owed like $794.13 and I just hung up.
There's another one similar to that where we've had repeated calls. Originally it was Amazon saying, we've noticed some weird activity on your credit card for, it's always a figure around $400 or $500 for one thing, and then another around $1,400 or $1,700 for another thing. They're two completely different things. One is usually Amazon, but we just got one recently that was Costco or something like that. So and there are always two different items that are completely different amounts, and there's a good chance you might have done one of them.
What I've done, I've had that before that they called and said, this has been on your card and this. So I went, well, I'm talking to them, didn't tell them, but I went on my bank account and checked my credit card statement and went, it's not there. What are you talking about? And then just say, hey, I just checked my account. Like, you're full of it. Toodly-doo, see you later.
It also is always Saturday morning at 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. Or earlier. That they're trying to catch you when you're not really paying attention.
And mine came from a 506-5299.
Another one that's happened too, I had a few and I just remembered, was they're calling and says that your social insurance number has been compromised. Scam, 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 scam. Please don't give your social insurance number out to anybody online. Only government agencies that you know you're going in, like we can't even, we do criminal record checks at the RCMP. We don't take people's social insurance numbers. We don't, no. Do not give that to anybody. Unless you know I'm dealing with this person, like on the phone, you don't be giving that out. And did you have something, sir?
Oh, I was going to say it was just something odd. One of the calls I got was from my own phone number.
Oh, yes. I've heard of that too. Yeah. How am I calling myself? Then there's the ones with 0000000, like, you know, that's not good. But they try to trick us by using local numbers that you're going to answer it. So if you're not sure, or some of them have that weird different ringy-dingy or whatever, like, if you're not sure, don't answer, and then call the person back that you think it might have been, that kind of thing. Yes, dear?
Well, something that's been concerning me is that I like Pavlov's dog. The phone rings and I feel I have to answer it rather than letting it go to. I do sometimes let it go to answer it. But we're aging and we rush to catch this phone. And it's a number of somebody who wants to scam us. And my concern is that somebody's going to, or maybe has been hurt, trying to get to the phone quickly because they think it could be somebody important.
Well, they call sometimes early in the morning and it almost gives you a stroke because you're like, what? And my father's aged and he's got Parkinson's, so every time my home phone call, I'm like, oh crap, what happened to Dad? Because not many people call my home phone because they call the cell phone all the time now. So like you said, you might get up and go to it quick, and then that's when I'm not real happy, when it's them.
Doesn't the anti-fraud through the RCMP from Ottawa or wherever can do something in order for those people not to get to your phone number, like to Bell or Rogers or whoever you're affiliated with? Surely, Bell or Rogers or whoever.
You would hope, but they love our money. But I don't know enough about that, how they could stop it. I know at least with cell phones, I don't get those weird calls from cell phones.
Well, they're using the phone book.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I get texts on my cell.
Text, yes, but they don't tend to call like the ones that you get at home. They don't tend to call on the cell phone. I'm just looking through this really quick.
But really, when you go, especially when he had his own phone calling
Yeah.
him,
How am I doing this?
Bell or Rogers has an anti
You would think.
virus.
Yeah, and I know they try to block certain things, or you can do star something something and try to block them, but then they find another way around it. It's never ending. So if you have a landline, it's going to continue to happen, unfortunately. That's why like one of the last ones I did, they said, well, what age, who's getting these scams? I said, anybody that still has a landline. Because 20 and 30-year-olds, they don't have landlines. They have cell phones. That's it. You hear more and more families are getting rid of the home phone because they don't need it anymore. They get this. Now, I still have it because that's what Dad calls. And, there's times you just want to use it. But as long as we have them, they're able to keep bugging us. But just please, if something doesn't seem right, just hang up. Don't give them any of your information. Don't, or say, okay, I'll call, but I'm busy right now. I'll call you back when I'm done. Because if you call into Rogers, if you call your bank, if you call, you've gotten these numbers from the people that you're working with. Then I'm actually calling these folks. You don't know who's calling you. And it's just, yes, sir.
I think, I can remember a few years ago when that no-call system came out, which I think everybody's forgotten about by now. But that was only for legitimate, it did work for legitimate businesses, like marketing firms, that you didn't want to be bothered
Yes.
by Time Magazine.
But all these
It wasn't working for these scams. I don't know how they work in the phone system and the network, and it really is. I agree, there should be something the phone companies or
You would
someone
think.
could do to, like, when I go, are all the numbers that show up on my landline screen, are all those numbers fake numbers? Or are some of them not real?
Well, I just don't understand how they can call, because I've had them call, I not answer, and then I call them back, and right away it's not working. So how do you do this? I'm not computer savvy enough for that, but they're able to do that. Sometimes I'm afraid to call back because it might do something, so I'm a little more nervous about calling it back, because if anybody if it's one of those things, this, press 1 or press 2, please don't do that, because that will get them into your system. And then they can try to get other things, or they'll, like, if you're not sure who it is, they'll call back if it's legit. Or you will call the folks that you need to learn more, that you need their assistance or you need their help.